Hello everyone! In this class, we're going to unpack the relevance of the story of Li Bai to today's society. First of all, I'm going to talk about it from my own perspective as a Chinese peasant born after 1990. Then my British colleague David is going to cover mostly the same content, but completely in English. This is going to be fantastic English listening practice, so I suggest you listen several times until you get it all. And now, without any further ado, let's begin the class. 在这篇故事中，与好友王伦会面的过程中，有两样东西是李白非常享受的，那就是美景以及美酒。酒文化在中国是非常重要的，不同地方的饮酒规矩也不一样。比如该给什么人敬酒，谁应该在酒桌上先讲话，甚至酒桌的座词都非常讲究。在西方，饮酒文化这几年变化也很大。有一个大家现在很难想象的，就是英美人士在以前很喜欢在工作场所饮酒，特别是在午休 lunch break 的时候，因为欧美人没有午睡的习惯，那么他们午休都干嘛呢？就是会跟同事喝一杯，有时候都不止喝一杯。所以到了下午，在写字楼里面就会出现非常有意思的画面。那些律师啊、会计啊、公务员或者记者啊，都有些昏昏欲睡，这跟他们中午喝酒有很大的关系。在办公室，人们经常看到非常精美的醒酒器 decanter 就是英文里面醒酒器的意思啊，里面会装着威士忌。这个地方跟大家普及一个小知识哈，就是威士忌的醒酒器 whisky decanter 跟红酒醒酒器 red wine decanter 是不一样的。大家看图片里面。像这种四四方方的，就是威士忌醒酒器 （whisky decanter），而屏幕上出现这种形状比较圆润的，一般是红酒醒酒器 （red wine decanter）。那一般在办公室放的呢，就是这种威士忌醒酒器 （whisky decanter）。过了大概下午4点，如果你去你同事的办公室里面做客，他就会从里面倒出一杯威士忌来招待你。在过去的30年，这种文化已经有所变化。现在谁在办公室午休喝酒，或者是放一瓶威士忌的话，就会让人感觉是非常不职业、不靠谱的。当然了，这个下班后嘛，还是可以放飞一下。英国人特别喜欢在下班后吃晚饭之前，跟同事去 pub 喝上一杯，特别是在周五。我们对于西方人往往有个印象，就是他们喜欢 AA 制，英文叫 split bills。比如司老师待会儿会说 ，Western countries have the reputation for tending to split bills， 就是西方国家喜欢以摊分账单或者 AA 制闻名。但是在 pub 里面有一个非常严格的社交规矩，就是朋友之间要互相为对方买酒，英文叫 buy a round， 就是买一轮比如说这一轮我请你喝，有2种说法，一种叫做 I will buy a round for you， 还有一种叫 This round is on me。 学会了吗？
The first thing worth noting in this story is the fact that Li Bai was attracted to visit Wangluan because of both beautiful scenery and good wine. Wine culture is still very important in China and is associated very much with enjoyment and pleasure. It is still a very important part of social gatherings, and in different parts of China there are different rules about how to share toasts with others, who should toast whom first at a dinner table, whereabouts around a table should different people be sitting, and so on and so forth. Drinking culture in China also centers very much around language and eloquence. When you offer a toast to someone, you should use some well-chosen words to praise the person you are toasting, or maybe talk about the relationship between the two of you. Of course, there are also many different types of drinking games which can be used to encourage people to drink more. Getting slightly tipsy and losing inhibitions is seen as a very important way of getting closer to each other. The hope is that during a dinner with drinking, the participants will forget and forgive quarrels that they have had and speak freely about their respect and affection for each other. We know from this story that this kind of drinking culture existed back in the days of Li Bai. However, archaeology tells us that drinking culture goes much further back than that. Ceremonial wine vessels from the Shang dynasty more than 3,000 years ago indicate that there was an important drinking culture that goes back to those times too. How has drinking culture in China changed among the younger generation? Well, Aaron explained drinking culture in his generation in the following way.
首先就是饮酒的目的有所不同。在以前，人们饮酒总是伴随着一些比较正式的场合，比如有时候很多商业合作的推进往往是在酒桌上进行的。不过，随着现代人对于健康越来越重视，人们已经慢慢放弃了这种在醉醺醺的状态下说正事儿的做法了。年轻一代更是如此，大家饮酒更多就是兴之所至，点到即止，更多享受的是跟朋友聚在一起的欢聚时光，聊一聊最近工作学习的状态，而不一定强制性一定要喝多少。另外就是在酒类选择上也出现了很大的分别。之前老一辈可能更多会选择烈性酒或白酒，那么也是随着咱们国家物质越来越丰富中国年轻人对酒类的选择也是越来越多元。比如对酒量比较自信的话，有些人选择烈性酒或白酒饮用，但只是想稍微尝一尝的话，很多口感柔和的酒类饮料，比如鸡尾酒、气泡酒等等，也都是很热门的选择。
First of all, people have different reasons for drinking with each other. In the past, drinking alcohol was usually associated with rather formal occasions. For example, when people had an important contract to discuss or finalise, it would often occur at the dinner table with alcohol. In England, people will also drink with business partners, but the difference is that in the West, people will observe an unwritten rule to talk about everything except business at a dinner when drinking. Whereas in China, people will talk about everything including business. At such occasions, someone's ability to cope with large amounts of alcohol is often taken to represent how strong or competent they are in real life. However, we young Chinese, that's Aaron talking, not me, tend to take health more and more seriously, so it has become increasingly less common to drink to excess in business or other formal settings. If young people do decide to drink to excess, it will usually be during purely social or fun events. Young people will see drinking as something you enjoy with your close friends when you're chatting about what has been going on recently at work or at college. At such events, it is less common to put pressure on others to drink more than they wish to. Aaron also pointed out that there is a difference between generations of Chinese in the type of alcohol they choose to consume. The older generations will tend to choose drinks with a high volume of alcohol. This will usually be baijiu. This word brings up a problem when talking about how to translate it into English. It is often translated as white wine, but strictly speaking, white wine in English means bai pu tao jiu or ganbai. The more accurate way to describe baijiu would usually be white spirits. Usually we use spirits for strong liquor that has been distilled, whereas wine is the word for lower volume liquor that has only been fermented. Aaron tells us that the younger generations are more willing to drink liquor that is lower in volume, and when they do opt for higher volume liquor, they will not necessarily choose the traditional baijiu, but may also consider drinks like whiskey. In general, Aaron says that young Chinese are more individualized in their drinking habits. Those who are willing to drink more, drink more. Those who prefer to drink less, drink less. There is also more tolerance for the amount of liquor that others at the event choose to drink or not to drink. In the West, recent generations have seen dramatic changes in drinking culture. First of all, drinking alcohol used to play a much bigger part in the workplace, particularly in the United Kingdom. It was common for colleagues to drink alcohol during the lunch break. It was often said that in the afternoon across the country, in offices of companies, lawyers, accountants, public servants or journalists, you would often find that people were slightly sleepy because of having been drunk during the lunch break. In offices, people would often keep a decanter with whiskey and glasses. If a colleague visited another colleague's office, that colleague would often offer them a glass of whiskey. Over the last 30 years, that culture has changed dramatically. These days, to drink during lunch would be very frowned upon. And if someone kept a bottle of whiskey in their office, others would these days be rather shocked. However, after work is another story. It is very common in the UK for colleagues to go together to a pub, a bit like a bar, to share a drink with each other before returning home for dinner. This is particularly common on Friday evenings, although Western countries have the reputation for tending to split bills rather than one person treating all the others to a meal. This does not apply to drinking in a bar or pub. It is a very strict rule of social etiquette in that setting for one or the other of the people drinking to buy a round for everyone else. To buy a round means to buy a drink for each person.